Welcome back to Do It Myself Garage. I'm working on a pump for my well. I found a 4 horsepower, 220 volt single phase pump. It is technically a spa pump, but I'm gonna try to make her work. Stop by the pool store, got a couple of compression fittings that fit on here. You will not find these at Menards or Lowe's or any place like that. You got to pick them up at the spa place. Then they go straight into a 2-inch PVC. So this will fit right in here. And then we're going to run our lines. I got a whole bag of adapters and everything that I need. Shut off valve, got all kinds of things. So we're going to try to reconstruct the previous setup that I had. Looks something like this. We're going to try to reconstruct that. But I'm going to try to eliminate a couple of joints in here. I don't think I will. The main thing is I want to have a shut-off valve down in here, so it'd be easier to prime. And then I need to have the pressure port, since this is a spa pump and doesn't have a way to shut off. I'm going to put my shut-off circuit is going to come out. It's going to basically be this piece right here. Okay, and then that runs to the part with the pressure tank and the shut off, the 40-60 valve. So let's get started. I'll kind of show you where I'm at. One of the main things that I need to do is this pump is not supposed to get excessively wet. So now the other pump that I had, supposedly they were rated they could be submerged. Well, that didn't work so well. It's still seized up. It had a small leak in it. So what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to build an entire piece for this. It's not going to be enclosed, but it's going to be a thing. And what I'm going to do then is, and that way I can disconnect this, bring this in the house in the wintertime, so in the springtime it doesn't flood down there by the river. Obviously, if you're in an area that doesn't flood, all you'd have to do is have a cover over it so it doesn't get excessively wet. But since this is down by the river, a shallow well pump, I'm going to try it out. Now, I do not have a check valve in this yet. I'm going to try it without a check valve. My other pump did not have a check valve. It was the same style of pump. It was a jet pump, and I never had any problems with the priming or holding prime. So if I do have problems with holding prime, then I will have to put a check valve in. So this piece goes onto here, and that will go, this piece then will hook into the wellhead. If I have to, I'll put a check valve in here to keep from the water from backflowing. But I never had any problem with the other pump. As long as everything's sealed, I don't foresee it being a problem. Let me make sure I have enough Teflon tape to get all this put together. I bought some new glue. I've got some primer. We've got our work cut out for us, so let's get started. So I think the first thing I'm going to have to do is I got to work on building this base. I do not want to use this press board that I found here. I actually have another piece of actual plywood. So let me go get that, and I'm going to kind of drop some plans, figure out what I need. I want something that's going to support, it needs to support this also, because I can't just be hanging on the PVC. So I'm going to create something big enough to kind of do multiple things here. My patience is not what it used to be. It's better, not what it could be. But let's just say I hit my hand with a hammer, with a rubber mallet, but still it hurt. It hurts. And yeah, so I haven't been filming a lot. And slowly putting this stuff together, bit by bit. The pieces that I know go together. I need a piece to go in between these two then, and that's going to be the determining length for what goes into the hose out on the yard. Also, got this piece on here. So this is the part that goes on the pump. You can see over here. I've got my line that comes out for my pressure tank, which is right here. So that'll hook on there. I think I got that pretty level. It's gonna be what it is, I guess. This goes down at about a 45, which is about what the other one was, but now I actually have a shut-off valve. I have a nice ball valve in here. And then, like I say, this will go down. I'll have to figure out how long that is. This entire pump is gonna be back a couple more inches from where my other one was. The dimensions are a little bit different than the previous one. So some of the stuff I'm able to put together here, some of the stuff I'm gonna have to go down and measure it when it's actually sitting in the yard. So now that I have, one of the things I went down to the yard to measure was from the center of the pump, because it's coming off the wellhead, from the center of the pump to the center where that line is. And that was about 14 inches. And so now if I put this together, move my Mountain Dew out of the way. Because the other pump, the outlet on it was off a little bit also. So from the center of the pump to the center of this is approximately 14 inches. So that hose, the line that comes out of the ground is flexible. One of the things I just went out there and did is the post that has the electrical on it was leaning a little bit, so I tried to straighten it. Post snapped right off. So I have to put a new post in the ground for the electrical. So this is going to definitely take more than one day. I actually got all the pieces today, which is actually very encouraging to me. I got all the pieces. I'm going to take a little bit of a break. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to build the kind of enclosure. You can see when this is on here, this piece is going to hang off this guy. He's going to need to be supported, otherwise he's going to just be hanging on the PVC. And that would not be good, okay? So he comes up here, screws into there, okay? And that's all well and good, or however you want to say it. The problem is they can't just hang on the PVC. So when I build my platform, I'm going to build it out so that there's something for this to sit on. It'll be part of the cover that covers up the motor so it doesn't get direct rain. And that should all be good. And then I'll have this water spigot right here. I'll be able to hook a garden hose up to that right out of here and run the garden hose out to put out fires for when I'm running the bonfire, or to run over to the garden if I want. So that should all work out. So far it's okay, other than, like I say, smashing my hand. We're doing all right. Everything's going together okay. All right, we are on another day here. Started off, I got the platform bolted to the base there. Got it kind of mocked up. Everything's none of this is tight yet. I got this on here. I took the tank off. It'll support it just fine, but I don't like having that pressure on the PVC. So I'm going to build either just a post under here to hold this and kind of bolt it to it, because I got the tank that goes on top. I'm not sure. I have this other piece. I don't know what I was thinking. I cut it the exact same size. That's going to have to come up and just cover just kind of this area. You're really not supposed to enclose these motors because they need to breathe for cooling. So kind of try to leave it open, but yet have some weather protection. So I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do it. Like I say, I need some support under here. So let me think a little bit more about what I want to do. Maybe I'll just bring that board. I'll just go over this part. It looks like the electrical motor has a little bit of a gap here. So I'm going to need some cover here also. So I'm going to play around with a little bit and see what I come up with. Knife through butter. I did a really good job. Didn't realize how dull that blade was on my circular saw. My goodness. Anyway, let's go see if this fits or if I totally got my dimensions backwards. Measure once, cut twice, right? I think that'll work just fine. I'm gonna have to cut off this left-hand side here to be under the rail, but that's about perfect. All right, let me measure just how far over that is. Not much. Basically, I want it to be, I think, right under the rail. We'll see. Maybe, hold on, before I get too crazy here. I know I have to make clearance for the faucet, but I think right there will be fine. Support it right out here on this panel. I'll make my wood blocks. I just have to cut this out for here, and then if I have to, I can make little blocks to go under here for support. Yeah, I don't think I want to support on the electrical box. I'll be able to get this cover off. So I'll put just little wood blocks here. Suppose I could cut this just a little shorter right here. Then this whole thing can come up. But even if it does, I'm going to hit here first. All right, let's see if this fits now. Okay, so bring this up here. Oh, perfect. So now I can have it up that high. It can touch the bottom of the line, and plenty of clearance for the motor, and still provide a fair amount of protection for the motor. That'll work. These motors can get wet, but they don't want them. You don't want them getting soaked. All right, let's go ahead and measure up now and make the mounts for these. I've got a 2x4 here. I'm going to cut up, and then we should have a roof for our motor. Okay. Let's see if I can do this. It's kind of like Jenga here. Ah! Oh yeah, I got it close. I did good on that. That is like dead on. Okay, so I got that piece there, piece there. It's almost wedged in there, but that means this has good support. Then I'm going to strap it on here, kind of like you put it on a electrical conduit. I'll put a couple of the straps on here, hold that down. Put this over here. Same thing. I'll screw that in, toenail that into the base. Into the base. The base back there. Yeah, that should work really good. Now I've got a cover. It'll keep it from getting overly wet. Probably overkill on the overhang over here, but I mean, it is what it is. Wanted to give you a little better idea of what I got going here. So that's resting on there. Is it focus? I had to turn off feature focus or whatever, because otherwise it was zooming in and out all the time. And then now under here, you can see there's plenty of clearance there. I can still reach up under there to get the to unscrew the coupling for storing in the winter. So that should work really well. Well, we're going to try it with the pressure tank. See what happens. I don't think this pump's going to work. All right, attempt number 37. Welcome back to Do It Myself Garage. I have a new Red Lion 230 volt 2 horsepower pump as a jet pump. This thing has a max pressure of 49 psi, so we should be good on the pressure and the capacity and the self-priming and all that other stuff. It is an RL-200 or SPRK200 cast iron, and it's designed for sprinkling. So this should work pretty good. Let's get it out of the box and get her mounted on here and see if we can get all the fittings correct and get this thing hooked up. The plan is to bring it back and forth every fall and spring. I went ahead and bought another disconnect. The other one was kind of rusty, and it was actually very stuck to the other piece. I couldn't get it apart. Plan is to get this mounted. The platform or the cover for this thing was made a little bit different because the hole on this one is in the center. Hole in the other one was out here somewhere on the jet pump. So I'll have to play around with it a little bit. The main idea of this cover was to protect the motor from excessive amounts of weather, so it shouldn't really be a problem. It's not even required on this pump to even have a cover, but I like having the top of the platform because then I have a place to mount the tank and the other outlet, the faucet, and kind of bolt it down so it doesn't so it's supported. Anyway, let me start working on this, and I'll bring you along with anything that seems that would be of interest. I decided not to wait and went ahead and made a support bracket there. So this whole thing's nice and solid now. That glue should be pretty much dry by now. It's definitely set in place. Obviously don't want to try to run water through it yet, but we can get her down to the river. Oh, just realized I haven't wired up the motor yet. Let's get this back panel off here and wire this motor real quick. Not a lot to show on the wiring on this one. This is a 2 horsepower version, and so it comes pre-wired to 220, 230 volts only. So I ran the wires in through the side where that red rubber cap was. So it's a black rubber cap, but they painted it the same color as the motor. I ended up using my own grommet and shoving in the hole. Otherwise, you probably could have cut a hole in there for your wiring. I let the wire kind of droop. That way, any water that, if it's raining and stuff, comes down, it won't wick into the motor. And then, like I say, I do have a O-ring on there, so should be all set. I think I'm kind of done for today. Kind of done with sweating. It's pretty hot out here. I will haul it down tomorrow and get all this hooked up. But for today, I'm just going to take the rest of the day off and enjoy myself a little bit. To say this project is going poorly would be to say the very, very least you could. I am going to tear all this off of here, go to all 1.5 inches, and then I'll be back. All right, a little bit of victory today. I'm still have a little bit of an issue on the intake side, but the output side is sealed and not leaking. It is running right now. As you can see, I hit 40 psi up here, but she drops because she's got air every once in a while. So that's not good. So I'm pretty sure that's on the intake side. I'm going to put in a check valve so that when I prime it, I can get the prime really, really good, because it took me forever to get it going today. And then, if that doesn't work, I might have to have the well looked at and make sure that there's no issues there. When I redo this check valve, I'll be replacing a bunch of this stuff. I'm going to take this restrictor out of here when I put in the check valve, just to see if that helps, although I could never get it to run without that in there, so we'll have to play around. I apologize for the pump noise, but anyway, as you can see all my tools laying here, this has been quite the project. I'm going to play around with it now and turn it off, because I have a 40-60 switch in here, and those things are adjustable, by the way, So don't think that when you buy them, that's exactly what they have to be. I'm going to take this front plate off of here. This front plate off. Be really careful because you have exposed wires in there. Probably not supposed to do it while it's running. But I want to adjust this. This pump maximum is 59 pounds. So I'm going to try to set it about 50 to shut off. And then approximately 30 or so to turn on. We'll see how that works. And that should also tell me if I have a leak in the system. Now, normally, like I say, I'm going to turn this valve off right here. Normally, the pipe gets turned off up there with the valve at the controller. But I don't have that hooked up yet. My wiring went bad. So I'm just going to turn it off here. I'm hoping this ball valve won't leak. I'm hoping it'll shut it off completely, and we'll see what pressure I build. I'm not going to be able to show you because I don't have, only got one hand and that valve turns pretty hard. If it stops and I can film it, I'll do that. Hold on. Okay, it kicks back and forth, turned on, off, on, off, on, off. It was messed up, and now you see my pressure dropped to 20. I lost my prime that quick. So I've got some issues here yet, but we'll get it figured out. All right, pump is a lot happier. I'm running a constant 42 pounds now. Notice she's not really bouncing. What I did is I did put that check valve in over here. I had it all done up, but I was having some other problems, so I wanted to eliminate the water supply as an issue. So I went to that restricted pipe. So this fit in exactly with what I already had done up. I'm sorry if I'm yelling. I am so excited right now. Anyway, so I've got that in there with the check valve. I got my disconnect here. I've got my disconnect there for the fall. I should be good. She is sprinkling like a mad dog up there. 43 pounds now instead of only 40. And I am pretty happy with this. The only leak I have right now is the gauge. I didn't, there we go. I don't have any other leaks to my knowledge. Thank goodness. Now, I'm going to try to show you this because I just did it a minute ago, but I didn't have the phone out, or the camera out. Watch this. So I'm going to simulate turning off the valve up top. Oh, she's even climbing up to 44 now. Awesome. I'm going to simulate turning this off. She kicks out. Actually, it looks like she kicked out about 45 pounds. So I might need to turn that up just a little bit more so I'm not bouncing off the limiter. But anyway, as soon as I open this back up, it'll turn back on. These valves, these ball valves turn so darn hard. And oh, is she gonna hold prime? See, that's the $1 million question here, right? Is if it holds prime. So far, so good. That's actually the longest I've turned it off. Now, what I'm going to do now, let's go ahead and go up and turn off the valve. We'll turn it off by hand, but we're going to simulate it being turned off basically as if it was getting turned off by the sprinkler system. Oh, you don't know how happy this makes me. You can see those sprinklers going, but they're shooting good. Plenty of pressure now. Just a couple of PSI, man, is all that made a difference. It was down like at 38, 39, now it's up at 42. Would love to get 50, but according to the book, I don't think I'll get that much out of this system because of the height from the pump up to the house. You lose pressure with distance and with head. All right, so let's take a look at these controls real quick. All right, so this is for the second line, which I have turned off because my line is broke. But over here, let's get this out of here. Okay, so this is the pressure valve or the flow valve. You can see down in here though. Yeah, so this is the flow valve. Let's see here. Okay, this is the flow valve, and then this one here is the on and off. I have it manually on, so I'm going to give it a quarter turn to the right. Actually, be almost 2 turns. Now give it a little bit of a turn to the right, and this should shut it off. Yep, that shut it off. And I just heard the pump kick out. So the main thing here now was shutting this off. This should keep all the water in the pipe all the way down to the river, which should help with it starting back up. I have never left it off for more than 10 seconds. We're going to leave her off for at least a minute or 5 minutes, and then I'll come back. Okay, so apparently I do have a small leak in the system. It is set to turn off at about 46 or 47 pounds right now. So I may turn that up a little bit. Can you see that needle moving? Yeah, that needle's moving. That's... So obviously I have a slight leak in the system. You can see that needle sliding down. And so that means that this thing is going to kick on every time it gets to 30 pounds. Which is not good. So I'm going to have to figure out where that leak is. It kicked on, but it lost enough prime that it's not building pressure. So this would be a problem if I, had on automatic. It'd just be sitting here running, let's say running all night, trying to gain pressure. So I got a little bit of a leak somewhere in the system, but I'd say I'm about 95% of the way there now instead of only 90. So I'll play around with it and see what I can find. Did a little sleuthing here. You see she's at 48 pounds. I turned up the pressure switch. She jumped all the way to 48 and she's staying. So my leak is between here and the house. Well, it's actually here in this joint right here. At least in the, I could see little bubbles. Little bubbles coming here out of the epoxy. So I'm gonna go get some more epoxy and double epoxy that. Triple epoxy, I don't know. But that's where my leak is. So that's good. That means it's not in the it's not on the intake or anything like that. I got rid of the air problem. Now I just gotta get rid of where the leak is, so that's what makes the pump keep running. I'm gonna do my best to show the leak here, but just little air bubbles like this. And that'll be enough to let air out of the system and cause a problem. So I'll get some more epoxy, put it around here, and we should be good. Well, I think I'm going to call that the end for the video. It's not the end of the work on the well pump. I still have to get the switch hooked up. I'm going to have to dig a trench from here up to the house, put the controller on the back of the house for the timer, because that wire did get cut a couple years back. And then I have to, as mentioned before, I've got a slight leak that's causing the pump to leak down the pressure. So there's some little things, but in the meantime I can run it manually when I need the lawn watered. So that was the biggest hurdle right there, was getting that thing so it would pump, shut off when it's supposed to. Now it's just little stuff. I'm gonna go buy some more epoxy to seal that up so it doesn't leak. So thanks again for everybody for following along. Like, subscribe, all that great stuff, and we will see you in the next video. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. Take care, everybody.